message and spread it around the world. We're going to share it with every independent Scientologist, as well as just friends and family, because this is the message. You're going to see why very shortly. I'm going to be sharing a video, because a picture says 1,000 words, but a video says 1,000,000. So you're going to see a lot in about 15-minute video that I made. All right, a little bit about myself. My name is Victoria Palmer, and I'm from Seattle, Washington. I am a lifelong Scientologist. I'm a class 4 and OT3. I did Clear and Key to Life at Celebrity Center in 1996, luckily right before the Golden Age of Tech. Before that, though, I was always a public in Seattle. I started training at the age of 11, so it's definitely my feeling that I was born to do this. I was born to be an auditor. I was born to be someone that would be a champion of freedom in whatever form that was needed. Let's see. Let me also differentiate for people watching this video at home that I'm speaking right now at the Free Zone Convention in Reno, Nevada. I'm speaking to a group of amazing beings. I'm speaking to the independent field, people who are keeping the torch of Scientology alive, and that we do not condone the methods of the Church of Scientology. We want to distinguish ourselves always, because we have suffered at the hands of the Church of Scientology. We are the survivors. We left because of the abuses, so we do not condone those. And we hold true to the real spirit of Scientology, which is restoring the self-determinism of thetans, of beings, indeed restoring free will to mankind. Yeah. So if you're not doing that, if you're being overridden by authority, you are not doing Scientology. You're on the path to slavery. Okay, so I did my class 4 training at Ronsorg in Switzerland with Max Howery and Erica, and they're a great team over there. I really say hi to them. I thank you very much for all your training and help. And I was doing my student auditing here in Seattle, in the US, in Seattle, with a friend, just working my way up. We were auditing every day because I had quit my job in order to become a full-time auditor. But thank you. But then COVID started and the lockdown started, and I just knew that this was wrong. And it was one of those times when Ron said, sometimes you gotta take action to keep the environment safe, and then you can get back to auditing. And so I had to take some time off auditing, and boy, it was really effective. I started speaking out against the COVID mandates in Washington State. I literally started out on the street with one sign that said, "Honk if you question coronavirus." And from that sign, I started to get a lot of people joining me as volunteers, and we just started going out on the street with these signs a couple times a week, really, and just building up people to my team. And we also, of course, this was right when the pandemic was started. We got a lot of people hating us, questioning us, criticizing us. There was always this constant pushback, and I'll talk about that. Because the video I'm going to show you will give some highlights of my story and the success that I had. But the real message is that it was always about standing up to bullies, or to put it a little more Scientology, to confront and shatter suppression. And so we were doing it out on the street. We were confronting people who were acting under false data given to them by suppressives. We were standing up to stores that were forcing us to wear masks. We were standing up to government agencies that were enforcing this. And there is a reason why Seattle was a crucial location, as I learned through these mandates. It just happened to be where I was. And it is a lesson of why you should stand your ground and not run, because the suppressives, they want us to run. They want us to cower and hide while they do their evil. Now, Seattle was very crucial to this pandemic, narrative that played out. Seattle is the home to the University of Washington, which got a lot of funding for pushing the COVID projections, and also all the COVID protocols. It was testing this on the population. We have, of course, Bill Gates right there, who is a large funder of a lot of the COVID COVID propaganda. And our own Governor Inslee was a huge player in this. And in fact, there were many states that saw heavier than normal COVID mandate enforcement, and Washington State was one of those. And I would even say, I don't think people heard much about it outside of Washington State. And that's part of what we saw was the censorship that started. And so that's part of why I made this video and why I need everyone to share it, because when we're trying to use social media, we're using the communication lines of the messed universe. We're trying to get through their system. So, we got to hold on tight to this communication system face to face, so that we don't have so many vias. We're putting too many vias on the line, and so the message is getting lost. And I'm sure everyone in this room has a different theory on it and has had a different experience. In fact, many of us probably fell for it in one way or another, meaning, you went along with it, or you got vaccinated, or anything like that, or you were afraid of it. I would just encourage you to take a fresh look at COVID and how it really played out, and it would be a good opportunity to try false data stripping, or to read what, any Ulrich references on it. He talks about viruses and vaccines and things like that a little bit. And here's some evidence for you as far as my personal experience, and that taught me that I was on the right path, you guys. It was in the fall of 2020 when we were in the darkest part of the mandates. We were being forced to wear masks in the grocery stores and everywhere. Everyone was having to wear masks, but I didn't. I was not going to wear a mask because I just inherently knew that this wasn't about protection from a virus. I just knew it was a form of slavery, and that they were expecting me to submit to a slavery. So I did not wear a mask the entire time. And in spite of, thank you. So in spite of very strict enforcement in the Seattle area, I found that there were many stores I could go to, and they would accept my statement that I was exempt, and they would let me shop. And so here's what I noticed. Here's what I noticed, you guys. It was one day I was buying produce at the store, and I was the only one not wearing a mask. Everyone around me was wearing a mask. And you know what? I just noticed how dim everyone else looked, and then I realized it wasn't them. It was me that was glowing. And I thought, wow, there is some connection between us all. And so I just got this feeling that the agenda, whoever the powers that be, they knew that something was happening, like something was coming through all of us. My feeling was that we had ended a contract of slavery, and that they were offering us a new opportunity to renew that. But because I had successfully said no and rejected it, it's like my theta was coming back to me. It's like I was becoming more theta, more effusive. So and then it was really awkward because it was like I was glowing and people were looking at me weird. And then you get that feeling of, oh, I should restrain myself. And then I thought, why should I do that? Why don't I just keep glowing and see where it takes me? So I just decided to do that. And I just let that guide my actions for the next 2.5 years. So the video I'm about to show you is going to share a part of my story. This is a video that was made by my campaign manager, because guess what? After my success, I didn't have anything better to do. I was like, hey, I'm going to run for Seattle City Council and keep getting my message out there to share this message with more people in Seattle. So this video was designed for voters in Seattle, not necessarily to earn votes, but it was actually to basically run the incident. It was to run the trauma of COVID, to kind of, so that they could view the incident again and get some of the correct information and hopefully restore the truth of the matter. And so I put it right up on my website where it says, on my website for the campaign, it says, "How did Victoria end the COVID mandates in Seattle?" And it was great. I got a lot of feedback from it. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I got called an anti-vaxxer, I got called all sorts of things. But again, it's about standing up to bullies. So I felt bulletproof. None of that really mattered. It was about just standing in the truth and speaking the truth. And so no, I didn't win the election. I came in 5th place out of 6. But I got my message out there. I connected with a lot of people in Seattle that had been cowed by this and didn't have a voice. So now I've been building, I have an even bigger team right there in Seattle. And so that's why it is, what I did in Seattle is a message that needs to go around the world, because it is one of the most leftist areas of America. So the fact that I can stand my ground there and not give into it means that we can actually restore the freedom of America and thus around the rest of the world, because America is the bastion of freedom for the entire world. And you guys here today are ambassadors of freedom. So I encourage you to join in whatever part of this message you can. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and watch the video. So that's what we do, is we just keep speaking truth until the world starts to listen to us. To me, the truth that brings us together is actually freedom from these lies.
Public health officials have made many tragic mistakes during the pandemic. Failure to warn of the pandemic for months, ignoring natural immunity, dismissing the lab leak as a conspiracy, closing schools, masking toddlers, boosting young, healthy people, pushing boosters for young people, bypassing FDA expert panel customary votes that we've been using for decades, telling people to wash their hands like crazy, thinking it was a surface transmission problem.
We want to make sure that people can discern the truth from the misinformation. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that no one's safe till everyone's safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe.
No one is safe. Nobody is safe.
None of us are safe.
There is no safety.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe until everyone is safe.
99.5% of people are safe and will survive COVID-19.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Biden tests positive for COVID-19.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Dr. Fauci tests positive for COVID-19.
Vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
CDC director tests positive for COVID.
If you're vaccinated, you're not going to die.
If you're vaccinated, you don't have a risk. It's as simple as black and white.
A majority of Americans dying from coronavirus are vaccinated. COVID-19 isn't a pandemic of the unvaccinated anymore.
The greatest perpetrator of misinformation during the pandemic has been the United States government.
So I literally just got out on the street by myself. I just started by myself. I didn't feel like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I got out on the street with a sign that said, "Honk if you question coronavirus." Wow. And this is in April of 2020 in the streets of Seattle. And I actually got some honks, and I got some people that were so happy to meet me.
Oh, yeah.
So that I just started to build.
just developed this last year with workplace vaccination mandates and kids in the schools being forced to wear masks. And I'm like, no, America needs a new sport.
Mm-hmm.
And we're calling it Marching for Freedom. So I've been going out regularly since April 2020. In fact, I've counted over 200 times out on the streets.
200?
Yeah, uh-huh.
You do this every other day?
We do it. Me and my team do it several times a week.
Okay.
So this is like a full-time job.
This is intense. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Because we really mean it. I mean, we're driven to speak the truth and stand for freedom and just be there for people, whoever needs us.
We are a team of activists that is operating right in the heart of Seattle, the darkest place in this state. The politics of the state are coming from Seattle. There's a connection between the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the University of Washington, and just tons of biotech money there.
All right, look around you today, you guys, left and right. These are your neighbors, these are your friends. Woo! These are your truth speakers, truth seekers. Woo! And this is how we're gonna get through this. This is how we're gonna get through this. We're a small group, but you know what? We're gonna take this out throughout Washington because we're starting it right here at ground zero. Because it is taking the lives and injuring our loved ones, our family, our youth, our future. Okay? So we have to speak out against this. We have to stand our ground. We have to say no.
This order will immediately ban all gatherings of people for social, spiritual, and recreational purposes. This includes events that affect the old and the young in our state. If you want to have parties on the beach or play pickup basketball at the park or have sleepovers, these are no longer allowed for at least a couple weeks. This also applies to some of the most important gatherings in people's lives, like weddings and funerals.
You fight my enemies when I don't have the fight left in me. You fight for me. You make a way when I can't find one. My freedom's coming. Oh, freedom is coming. Oh, I can feel it in the air. Oh, freedom is coming. Oh, my deliverer is here. You breathe new life in me. Death loses power when you speak. You are speaking. Rewrite my history. The fear of man has lost its hold on me. Oh, I can see again. You make a way when I can't find one. My freedom's coming. Oh, freedom is coming. Oh, I can feel it in the air.
The grand prize for Washington's Shot of a Lifetime lottery was awarded to South King County resident Cameron M. Governor Inslee handed over Cameron's check during a press conference in Olympia and thanked him for setting an example.
Oh, my deliverer is here. I can hear it in the distance. Sounds like thunder, songs of deliverance. I can feel it.
Lost a 6-figure job for refusing to take the jab. And nobody should have to make that choice, ever. We shouldn't have to choose between our livelihood and participating in an experimental medical intervention, because they don't know what the long-term side effects are. And regardless, even if it was actually an approved vaccine, I should still have a choice to refuse that and decide what goes into my body.
We're the voice of freedom in Seattle, and as you can hear, Seattle actually wants its freedom, so we're going to just keep getting out here until all of the mandates are repealed.
This movement started with one person, me. Don't dismiss the power of the little guy. Wherever you are, you can make one connection. For the people we'll meet on our march today, some of them will welcome us, some of them will oppose us. Let me remind you that they are all our friends.
We had over 500 people march in Bellevue, and it was just nonstop honking from cars, people joining us, people, it was a lot of families there, people pushing strollers, people, a lot of kids that are pushing back against the school mandates.
In Seattle this entire time, I have not put a mask on. I've managed to make it without a mask. Me and my team, we've been out over 200 times in these 2 years. We've gotten our signs in front of over 2 million people. We are here to let the legislators know that we're watching them and that we are standing for health freedom and that we're not going to let them get away with more mandates, more regulations, more enforced vaccinations. Hello, Olympia! We are the March for Freedom, and we're here to hold Governor Inslee accountable for his actions during the pandemic and the so-called emergency. Inslee, we're here to remind you of what your abuse of power these last 3 years. We're not going to forget about this.
see I was busy, huh? Yeah. Well, folks, as you can see, what do you think I was really doing? I was using Scientology. You guys, I was there auditing the group, the third and fourth dynamic. I was delivering a command and I was listening to the response until it was thoroughly flattened. So every sign I put, that was the command. And let me tell you something, at the darkest time, which was January 8th, 2022, just over a year ago, that was the darkest time in Seattle. We had employee mandates. They were checking Vax ID to get into a restaurant. I couldn't go into a restaurant. To go into a gym, to get into a movie theater, you had to be vaccinated. So this was the lowest point. We didn't know where it was going to go. For all we knew, they could go house to house vaccinating people or something. We didn't know if it was going to get worse or better. But January 8th, 2022, we marched through downtown Seattle, and I'm going to tell you, it felt like a victory march, and we were liberating hostages. People were so happy to see us. And we had about 1,000 people following me, and we were marching down the streets of Seattle. And I'm going to tell you, I could feel the energies shifting. We changed something that day, and it was about 2 months later that Washington State started announcing that the mandates were ending, because basically we sent a ripple wave of the spirit of freedom through Seattle, and it just was unstoppable. And when I ask people today, people who had no idea what happened, I say, yeah, that was us, because you know what? Those mandates ended before you thought they would, didn't they? And they'll say, yeah, actually, they kind of ended abruptly. Because we didn't get media coverage. The media wasn't our friend. So we've had to get this message out just person to person or through my campaign for Seattle City Council. What's the takeaway here, you guys? What is the takeaway? Because, and how do we apply this even more broadly? It was our invitation to become slaves, to degrade ourselves and become slaves again. And so we can continue to listen to all of this talk about Agenda 21 or all of these other plans that they have in store for us, and we can be afraid and validate those and think that that's all going to happen, or we can just sit and watch the chaos kind of blow by and see what happens. It's going to continue. This chaos agenda is going to continue to roll out, but we can just be free beings and watch it play out. And so that's why I am prepared today to announce victory. Victory for Team Theta, you guys. And that means all of us. Victory for Team Theta, you guys, because what we contacted was that spirit of freedom, that spirit of play in each person that still exists. We had people joining us that were just, they never heard of Scientology. You don't have to hear of Scientology to know what this means, what we are talking about here. It's the spirit that's in every person. And on that, let me just share a couple of quotes here. Let's see. I have a quote here from LRH about winning and what it means. This is from the Phoenix Lectures, the book. And he talks about winning or losing on any given course. He says, you could do that, meaning fail, or you could simply postulate, I've won. I've not won something, just postulate that you've won. And the conditions of winning are feeling good, which is part of the woof and warp of postulates. And therefore, I feel good, giving you a reason to feel good. So you guys, winning is the top of the chart of attitudes. It's who you are inherently. You don't need to do anything else but feel good and postulate winning. And there you have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. And then my advice to you guys, is just, take this message with you and do what inspires you to do, because when you're working on inspiration, that's exactly what you want to do. You know, I want to get back to auditing and doing all of that fun stuff, but it's gonna be it's gonna be fun. And I have met, you guys, I built my group from just myself. I built it up to hundreds of people. In fact, I call it the Freedom Community there in Western Washington mostly. And these are people, you know, the guy who made the video, he's a really good friend of mine, Travis. And you know what? He's a devout Christian, and he goes to church every Sunday. And he knows that I'm an independent Scientologist, but he respects that, and I respect his religion. And we stand side by side for freedom and freedom of religion that's guaranteed in the Constitution. And that's the word that we can all get behind, is freedom. Because that, you know, beyond that, we can have all the discussions we want and share our faiths. But, you know, as long as we can stand together for freedom, we can have people from all backgrounds stand together. So here's what we do, you guys. The government is an automaticity that we've ignored for too long, and it's overstepped its boundaries. So we, as live beings, we need to talk back to it. We need to engage with it at least enough to keep it at bay and show it who is boss. So that applies to the government, it applies to Big Pharma, it applies to the World Economic Forum. I don't care what you want to come up with. They're all operating on automatic because they have been deprived of interaction with live beings. So we need to be the live beings to keep them in check. And so I implore each of you to do that in your community. Now, it is much more helpful to have your own group of friends or people that you can work with. So I kind of thought, okay, what are you going to do now? I mean, it's too late to protest the COVID mandates. I hope they have ended where you are, and we don't want another overstepping government mandate like that. But you know what? It's all about communication. So take out your own sign on the street, you know, just take out a sign speaking your own truth, whatever that might be. It doesn't have to be protesting. It could just be a sign that says, do you want someone to talk to? Or maybe a sign that says, I'd rather talk to you than my cell phone. Something like that.
I like that one.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Or even, you know what, just put out on a sign, interested in Dianetics, come talk to me. Because we do have to, you will be surprised how many people have always been interested in it. Yeah, Valerie.
Well, yesterday morning we were taking a walk and some people were holding signs saying, I'm here to listen. And I immediately went to talk to them.
There you go. There you go. You will attract beautiful people like Valerie into your group, and you will be surprised how many people you will find that way. Just get out on the street, you know, bring some life. We need to bring some life back into Scientology. And so I actually encourage using the word. There's going to be a turning point with what the church is doing. It's obviously on a self-destruct path, and at some point we're going to be the ones that need to be there to show people what Scientology really means, and that it is standing for freedom and the truth, and that it's completely voluntary, it's completely done to restore self-determinism of the person, and so there is no reason to be cult-like at all, actually. Okay, you guys, so on that note, take this information with you. Please sign up your email on my list there, because I will make sure that I will send this out, I will send out a copy of the video, it'll take about a week. Yeah, it'll take about a week. Right now, you can go to my website and get the video I showed you. You guys, so continue doing your bridge, do your training, interact with people, interact with life. I'm going to tell you, when you pick up that KRC triangle, take responsibility for your environment and demonstrate it with action in the environment, it puts you at slight gentle cause in the environment. And I'm going to tell you something, the environment starts to listen. You start to shape the environment around you. So wherever you are on that scale, just pick it up and do a little bit more action. And that is your immune system in life. You can stop being afraid of things that you encounter because you actually have a pressure going out, pressure pushing out, and things can't touch you. So I'm pretty sure I could stop a bullet, actually. But regardless, this is the message I'm going to carry forward, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you in the future. And take my cards, you can reach me on those email addresses, and thank you very much for listening, y'all.
Thank you for your commitment.
Yes. You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome.